Are you quite comfortable, Mr. Straub?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's begin. Can you hold one of the revelators in your hand? It should appear to you something like a cube.
This?
Yes.
Okay.
You shouldn't feel anything as you hold it, but if you do, you shouldn't feel anything. It should be fine. Let's begin. You are descending a great stone stair until you stop from exhaustion and hunger. You can no longer see the top, nor can you see the bottom. Which way do you go?
I have to go. If I go up and I collapse, I'll fall down again. So that seems like
I mean, it's
I
the
should
most
at least try
the
to
most
fight it.
efficient path.
So I'll try to go up because eventually I will go down.
Dr. Voit makes a few notes in his book with a troubled expression. Next question. Try harder this time. Your flesh slides from your shoulders like a cloak. What do you feel?
Relief.
The eyes widen and the eyebrows raise to a comical degree. It's a clown mask of a man.
It's too much. It's too funny.
No, these answers they need to be your answers, or else the diagnostic won't function. The third question. Godahai haleum portentiat da de alum. And as he says these things, I would love you to cast your revelator into this pool. One. We're getting started off with a bang here. Now, a brief aside. Do you remember the first time we played D&D on stage?
Yes.
And what came up on your D20?
The very same number.
The same number. Mm-hmm. And then you managed to create a character you have played for 5 years out of that one roll?
Yeah. We never got to see, it could have been a 5, an 8 wouldn't have made it.
I mean, this is the thing. I think at a certain point, theoretically we're playing these games to pretend at heroism. And what I have found is that when we play these games, we tend to suffer more often than not.
Yeah, but then what you build is you get the good bits. Why did that fail?
That's true.
That's what makes
That's
the
true.
character.
That is that's the low and slow cook version of the character creation. Yeah. Let's get back to it.
Oh,
every one of these syllables pounds your consciousness flat. It's as though your psychology has been pressed through a hydraulic roller. You are now absolutely ready for whatever this man says next. Mr. Straub, we have done very, very well, haven't we?
I open my mouth to say, we'll see. Does anything come out? No, but you would like very much to have been able to say it. It hasn't been easy, but I think we have finally reached the Hrungnir. At long last, this is our last session. I don't think we'll need another one. Let us go through our final reversions as a sort of celebration of everything we've accomplished together. I wish I could nod, but I don't.
The power to shape sounds in your mouth returns in time for you to repeat the following. 3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
Huna. Dona,
Dona,
oblite.
oblite.
The problems that you sought help for began 9 days after you delivered your thesis, Dr. Christopher Straub. Your thesis was entitled Esoteric Mimetic Transfer in Media, Inculcation, and Engrammatic Projection. Your small flat is still a whirlwind of unreturned books. There are librarians who don't even know about it, who shiver as they pass your flat on the street. All they know is that something is very wrong up there. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. But it's the same sense they have if someone bends a page in lieu of placing a bookmark. It is inimical to the librarian. Shortly after, about a week and a half, you began to experience what can only be described as peripheral phenomena. Things in the center of your gaze behave properly. Things in the edge dance and sway and tease you to observe them, scurrying out of your vision as you turn. It has been like this for several days.
So these are like auras, like a migraine-like aura.
Yes, it certainly could be. That I would say that is probably the best possible outcome. But it would make for a very, very short game.
I grab Excedrin.
It's over the counter.
It's done. Thanks, Excedrin.
You
yes.
must have tried Excedrin several times before. You rattle a single lone pill in the base. It clatters musically.
Yeah, I've saved that one because I know to take it and for it not to work would be harrowing. But if I don't take it, then there's still hope that that's all this is.
You can maintain a certain optimism, perhaps, about the operation of the universe.
So this is sometime after I've delivered this thesis to the...
It was well received, Doctor.
What are the conditions I've been living in? Have I been able to leave with this? My vision it's narrowing, I assume.
It is becoming something like, you feel like it's as though you're looking through a spyglass at the best of times.
And the shapes, we've all done this thing where you press on your eyes and then
yes,
your retina.
The sparkling.
Right.
The retina provides some very inexpensive entertainment.
Right.
To the body.
I think it's called phosphine. I don't know if it's a plural or not. Doesn't matter. We've seen that.
Yes.
But that is random. That's like white noise.
Absolutely. You hesitate to say that you are being taunted by it. You've also begun to have issues, strong issues, strange issues, with corners. The corners of the room feel malevolent. It seems like they are conspiring.
Just the right angle. Is it where 3 walls meet, or even just 2 is enough?
2 walls is sufficient.
For most corners.
Any vertex seems to be a potential, just a sliver of potential, but it's more than you can endure.
I assume that at some point I would have given in and moved my bed from the wall.
This is what I was going to ask you. Mm-hmm. So how have you tried to make your apartment, again, a librarian's nightmare? How have you attempted to bulwark your apartment against these 90-degree angles?
I suspect that it has a lot to do with the room and not just any 90-degree angle, because books is all that. You can't escape it. You can't cut the corners off. I'll never get them back.
Well, no, and
that's fine.
Part of it is that it's just hard to keep. It's hard to keep your attention. You can't observe all of them at the same time. It's always the one that you can't see.
I have begun to, in the past week, go through my closet and choose articles of clothing that have been in there. And I perhaps have put a coat rack in a corner of a room and put some coats on it as though it's some kind of redecorating. But what that does is just gets in the way of the corner.
It softens it.
It softens it. And I end up having to do this, no one will know. No one would think it's strange, but it's obvious that every corner has a hat rack, a coat rack, a sheet draped down, nailed to one edge, one corner, just to break it.
It's like the room in a Victorian mansion that never sees use.
Yeah.
It's a place where people die.
I am not as worldly as that, so I don't know the reference. And I'm not worried about it at all.
No, in fact, you think, you can imagine a scenario where perhaps a date might come home with you, and a quick observation of this makes you think, yeah, very normal.
Like, this can work. Kind of cool.
It's like, now it's a conversation piece.
Yeah. And then when they ask, I say, oh, I'm upset by the corners. I want to live in a cylinder.
I got huge corner problems, basically, and it's fucked up, so.
Drink? Yeah, that is one way. I've moved my bed, which traditionally would be in the corner, a place I used to believe is one of safety.
Indeed.
Into the center of a wall, equidistant from those corners. It's not far enough to my liking. But that plus the towels and the sheets that have been ritually draped, such that I can pretend that I live on the inside of a sphere. Heaps of clothes also along the baseboard, because that's a whole other corner. That's a whole other meeting spot. Those corners, the others, like, I have to walk near those all the time. Some can grab an ankle from those.
Absolutely.
Those are the most destructive.
That haunted crease, always ready to grip.
Oh, yes. I'm grateful that I haven't yet started to look for 90-degree corners on my body. There may be some, but that opens a whole other door, whole other issue. For now, I'm going to assume that I'm whole, that I'm fine, and this is the problem.
Let's explore the moment where you realize you're not fine. Is it an errant mirror? Is it a reflection, perhaps in the polished surface of a faucet? Your body stretched and distorted on it, perhaps. Sorry.
Funhouse. No, what I was going to say is I would wake from sleep fitful, I imagine. Not great.
Well, and it's difficult each time to remember you moved your bed.
Yeah. I throw my legs over one side, expecting some
And you kick the wall?
Yeah, and then my feet land on clothing piles in order to buffet that area. And I look in the closet, which is now empty, and realize the corner's there, but there's no clothes in there to cover those. I don't have enough material to hide that. And I realize that it's not a solution. Then none of this can be solved by covering it. Maybe I'm aware that now that everything is covered, I'm not aware of what the corners are up to. It could be worse this way.
That's so good. It's so good. So what's your next step? You've reached the ragged edge of your coverage in here from a purely textile perspective.
Before I seek medical help, which I've been avoiding, wanting to believe it's
For a reason.
not necessary.
What we call the Excedrin law.
Right. I just took him. I don't want him to give me something that's going to interfere.
Right.
Because
It's an issue.
Yeah.
Read the label.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't say none of my corners. Excedrin for corners.
No, it's the extra one. It's the new one. It's like for all the different shit.
Yeah.
Excedrin for corners.
It's like
Ugh.
FC.
Exactly. But then the container is actually a square prism, and it's just like,
You bastards.
you're juggling it in midair trying to get a pill out.
No, I want to, so before I try to go to a doctor, now I'm curious if I can make it out of the room. Do I find any comfort in remembering my thesis and its reception? Like, once I get over this, whatever's happening with me, at least I've got this career, I'm published, I hope. I can return to work and continue to forge ahead.
Absolutely, in a completely unique and certainly timely field, with the media is our natural environment now. Your thesis expresses a mastery of its power. The sky really is the limit. You can work for Google. I mean, anything, you can write your own check, essentially.
A Google check.
A Google check.
G-check.
Well, install Google check, and then just write it on there. So you cast your mind back to that confident presentation, and in your memory, you're in a room that has some of the properties and parameters that have grown so vast and shadowy, and you can remember a time, there's comfort in this, you can remember a time where you did not even notice them. And you think that might mean it's possible to get back to that place.
Do I?
You do. You do notice something different here. Perhaps in the moment, you were so focused on the presentation that you did not notice that there was a member not of the judging committee, but another chair in the room, seated a few rows back. There is a man that you don't recognize.
And if I recall this, distant from the others.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Not part of the judging committee, but very interested in quite an esoteric subject.
I would be curious, do I remember how they were dressed? Could be a janitor that came in to rest for a moment.
No, you see no mop.
That they just have it, and they have to carry it.
And no bucket. Business casual. The sort of person who dresses in an immaculate way that they imagine makes them seem approachable, when what it really does is make them seem calculated.
Oh, right. Like, if I'm perfect,
Yes.
then no one will be afraid.
Yes.
Because I have no flaws.
Yes, exactly. Imagine a trapdoor spider, but a person.
I think that I remember in the moment feeling like, well, that's maybe word spread. I don't even recognize him on the faculty.
Could be a job opportunity in the office.
Right, maybe just check in on what this was just because they'd heard of it somewhere.
Could be Robert Google himself.
In the flesh.
Yeah.
A rare appearance.
Behold.
Now in this spiral, I give myself a moment to feel it and then retract it. Is this his doing? No, because if I search my mind, there are 1,000 things that happened over the course of the last week and a half that I could pin this issue to.
Is this just apophenia?
Yeah.
Is the mind just casting out for any grit
Yeah, and as a scholar in this field, I know that's exactly the kind of thing that I need to avoid giving in to, because that's nonsense.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would try to leave the apartment.
Absolutely.
I would go to any clinic, urgent care.
Absolutely. Your flat is on the 3rd floor of what must have been a very nice building. I would love it if you would roll your dice for me and then reveal to me the number upon its face.
That's a 4.
Okay. Even standing over the threshold of the stairs, every crevice, every geometric line, it all enfolds you, and you collapse at the top of the stair. And it is a blessing, perhaps, that you lose consciousness before the bottom. When you awake, you are at the place that you had intended to go. You are in a place where they take care of people who fall downstairs and hurt themselves. It's the hospital.
Hospital.
Yeah.
Healthcare.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I seen like I'm in a bed and so forth?
You are in a bed. There is an IV next to the bed that is hydraulically pushing what feels like a concrete slurry of contrast injection into your vein. It's clearly labeled upon the hanging bag.
Maybe that's why I woke up. I feel that hot sensation going up my arm as it spreads in there.
It is beginning to travel even now. There is a set of cabinets for medical supplies. You can see people passing outside the door of your room, bears and foil balloons sort of bobbing in that little slice of the outside area.
No doctor on here, is there? I'm looking for a call button.
Absolutely. You give it a few gentle presses. A nurse comes in and looks at the bag and says, "Mr. Straub, I think we're ready for your MRI."
How, I don't remember getting here. What happened? Who found me?
The landlord. I know landlords have a bad reputation, but this one might be okay. We were contacted, and it sounded like you had quite a fall, and we just want to make sure that absolutely everything is okay.
Very colloquial.
Up top.
What journal
In the melon.
is that term
In
from?
the melon region. This is only the nurse.
I nod, and I also do that, like, that initial tensing of every muscle, as though to rise, not to rise, but just to see if I get any jolt of pain in a broken part.
No, you think that you have come through this. I mean, obviously, we're going to have to see the MRI, but you think that you have come through it more or less okay.
Okay.
She reaches up into the medical cabinet and leaves, and she doesn't close it quite all the way. And there is almost like a black lance. Like, imagine just a two-dimensional sheet that seems to project and cut through space out of that cabinet, just from that crevice.
Am I?
You think that the corners, you think that they have found you.
how far am I from it? Am I able to, the challenge right here is, do I continue with the self-comfort of, I'm probably fine, and even deliver that to the doctor?
Or do you risk knowing?
Yeah, or do I actually say, no, all of the things that are going on?
We appear to be at that threshold.
I am not ready to let go of it yet, and where
It's
this
10 feet to your right.
Okay, so yeah, relative to where it is, I'm going to
There is the
try to shut it.
exactly the sort of fold up barriers on each side are here, but you're going to try to scooch. You're going to try to scoot your way down or throw a leg over that.
That's not going to work. That's designed to not work.
Yeah, it's designed to stymie. It's functionally speaking an anti-Kris device. It was made for this purpose.
I'm scooching.
Absolutely.
I got to scooch up.
Please cast your Revelator.
Another one.
You've got it. Until you don't have it. When you fall down, it pulls the IV out of your arm. On its legs, which are made stable 4 wide. This is not the first time this has ever happened, but it does pull it over and slam it into you.
Okay.
You are now only a couple feet from a palpable cold from this long black sheet projected across the room.
Let me add a turning point.
Please.
To the moment.
Please.
In the fall, the cabinet, however far away it is, the call button and its coiled wire has also fallen much nearer to me. And I look at it and I begin to try to crawl toward the cabinet to close it, because that is more important right now.
So as you drag yourself bodily across this, trying to ignore the sharp pain in the crease of your arm, the nurse seems to pass harmlessly through this sheet. She reaches up and closes the door and says, "Mr. Straub, Mr. Straub." And she reaches down, she kneels down, and she calls out for additional help. She looks over at the bag, and the bag is empty. Its payload having been fully deployed, and you are conscious of its motion inside your bloodstream. They take you and place you on a wheelchair to speed this process along, to obviate maybe some of the harm potential that you have discovered inside this room.
Yeah, to them, as wherever I'm being taken, I'm now I've given into it, and I'm saying, I'm seeing things. I see things. I can see things.
A glance passes between her and the orderly that is walking along the front. You are led into the MRI room. You are placed on the flat slab, and it travels too slowly, perhaps, inside.
There's a comfort, though, because
there's no corners.
As I lay down and I see that gridded acoustic tile, and it's too many right angles, and then that blessed arch of the MRI occluding them, and now I'm safe.
You've been placed in an impervious lozenge. No right angles in here. What a comfort it is. Then the hum begins. It's like the feeling of being in an elevator that is traveling up very quickly, except the drop inside doesn't seem to stop. It continues and accelerates, and it's not localized even in the stomach. Your interior volume feels as though it is being stretched on a taffy puller. You are being made wide within. As you slide back out, you look over and notice the doctor observing the screen, and there is almost a gold light from the device cast on his face, and he seems unprofessional in his level, perhaps, of concern.
Is he like conversing, or is he just absorbing?
He is absorbing, and then he looks to his compatriot inside the room and grabs a few sheets, comes in, and shows them to you. And he says, "Good news. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong, but I would like to refer you to a specialist, a Dr. Voit, who can help certain cases that we sometimes see. He's a psychologist, comes very, very well recommended. I think that he is someone that you should see. Can you please roll your dice for me?"
Oops, is that Jack?
That's 100% Jack.
All right.
You put it in the pool, goddammit.
Okay, it was a 3, now it's a 2.
Okay.
It's a 2.
Absolutely. You're looking over the sheets, and he is indicating that they seem correct, and you do not have the expertise, and you haven't, based on the die roll, watched enough procedurals on television.
Do I have the ability to discern, now that he's talking to me instead of alone with the information?
Yeah.
Is he putting on a little brave face?
Give it.
That's a 4.
No.
Okay.
No. There is a little dampness, perhaps, over the brow.
You want to see that in a doctor.
Exactly.
It's about concentration.
What you want is a wet doctor. It's like you can order the wet burrito.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same kind of thing. It's upmarket. The doctor's voice seems to cut through and suppress this reversion vision that you've been experiencing. He says, "That was the first time we met, Dr. Straub. That's when you were finally able to get the help that you needed to reach your highest potential. We make an incredible team, Kris. I think you're ready for your next reversion. Repeat after me. 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Huna,
Huna,
dona,
dona,
oblite."
oblite.
It's the worst fever that you can remember. The worst fever you've ever had, a fever you remember even as an adult. The sort of childhood sickness that remains with one. It's as though you can feel a cold cloth being pressed to your forehead, but it's so distant that it feels like it's happening to someone else. You are far more present inside the dream of the fever. There's a long stair, and you don't know how long you've been traveling it. It's winding down, it's auguring into the midnight heart of the earth. When you reach its base, after an interminable, incalculable period of time, there is a table, a round stone table, and a cloaked figure next to it, directing you to a small silver plate upon which sits several small pieces of bread. everywhere you look in here is writing. Every surface, every angle, all blessedly round, organic shapes. Every surface appears to have writing on it that writhes and swims in your vision.
As the adult re-experiencing this, I become aware of how sad it is that I take comfort in this memory of from childhood just as a respite from.
Yes, that even this is preferable.
Right. And now thinking as a child, as the child I was, this I imagine these are not images I've seen before, and that's why they stuck with me.
Indeed.
These are not like elements pulled from my life, as in other nightmares or dreams.
No, this reversion is giving you something back. It is being returned to you.
I am how old am I? I'm
11.
maybe, okay. Enough agency. Do I feel spurred by the dream to continue? My impulse would be to go back up the stairs. I look at the hooded figure and I'm backing away because I'm not crazy about plain bread. Like it's just not
It's
enough.
like no carbs for me right now, actually.
It's not enough of an invitation. Maybe he believes that this is a kindness, but he doesn't understand kids. And this is the wrong way to compel me. So I begin to walk backward to find the stair again.
Absolutely. As you look down to ensure that your feet mantle the stairs properly, that same writing is swimming even on the floor and up the stairs themselves, flowing up and down almost like a liquid. Walking on it is quite difficult. To the extent that I would love it if you would roll a dice.
Oh, I will. That's a 3.
You get pretty far.
When I get to the limit of what I can do, what is it that prevents me?
It's that the surfaces seem to flow and finding purchase on something. It's rigid like stone, but it has the texture and appearance of something that flows down.
So to proceed is just to give myself more chance to fall.
Yeah, you're pushing essentially upstream.
Yeah, then I am, if there is any kind of banister or wall, now I am dreading where I have to go back to, and I am carefully trying to safely go down. Maybe he'll be gone. Maybe there'll be some cool on the tray this time.
Yeah. He gestures to the sacrament. Now that you have a little bit more experience trying to parse this environment, you can see that these words are flowing up and over almost like an arched doorway. Mm-hmm. Just beyond him, it seems like there is a set of double, perhaps stone doors just beyond at the base of this stair.
I hesitantly walk toward the door. I eye the bread.
Yeah.
And I'm taking the long way around from where that guy's standing.
As you pass the table, he seems to occupy like the same position around the table. His legs don't move, but he is always in this perpetual offering stance. So even as you pass by and look back at the table, he is still gesturing at it, but there's no attempt to stop you.
Blech. It's like Doom. Like there's just a sprite.
It's the
You just
2D,
always see it from
exactly
edge
right.
on.
It's the 2D sprite controlled on a plane whose position is relative to your perspective.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that it's a living creature.
Blech. So I'll go closer to the doors and examine the construction, because I'm wondering if I have to go through them and that thing suddenly springs into hellish life.
Who knows?
How will I be stuck there going,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're heavy. These are stone doors then.
It's the exact material of the construction is difficult simply because of this writing. But you reach out, and when your hand is even an inch from the door, it longs for you to enter. You never even make contact with it. It's like holding two opposite poles of a magnet together. It's simply pushed through.
Mm-hmm. I turn to look at the hooded figure.
It withdraws its offer.
It's the worst kind of menace. None.
The hand simply returns inside the cloak.
I don't proceed yet. I do step back toward the table as a test of its behavior, even at 11.
Yeah, absolutely. As you near the table, that impassive gesture returns.
I am aware that there's two neat things going on here as outside the construct
I'm glad you think so.
of the game. No, that as a occasional sleep paralysis sufferer, one of my primary illusions or hallucinations that follows me out is writing or texture on walls. Usually it's a pattern or like a scorching. And
I talked to all of your best friends to determine what you would hate the most. I've already used 3 of them.
Oh my God.
I have 2 more pages. I mean, we only have 46 minutes, but we'll get to them.
We'll get there. The other thing is, maybe that answered it.
I also hate bread.
Yeah, bread's the worst. No, the other piece of it is that and I don't know where anybody I know would have known this, but when I would have nightmares, I would try to invoke the worst thing, because you always wake up once there's no further to go.
Yeah,
so,
you want to inoculate yourself.
Yeah, so I would have, approached, like if it wants me to eat the bread, I'm gonna eat the bread. If I'm supposed to be scared of pushing this figure over, I'm gonna push him over. But in this instance, I come over to at least look at the bread, because I'm aware of this dreadful freedom.
Yeah.
This is not a rails toward a monster in a closet. I'm being permitted to
Beckoned, maybe.
Yeah, exist here.
Yes, yes. You're looking at a sort of a bubbly yellow.
Bubbly.
Yeah, you're looking at a bubbly Italian bread shell. No, this is very serious, Kris.
I thought you talked to my friends about what I'm afraid of.
Bubbly. It's like it drops, it just descends on 2 strings. Yes, Kris, yes, face it. No. So it has a gray, almost dried clay colored crust and a yellow interior.
Yeah, no.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no. Okay. The door.
That looks fucking gross.
The door is preferable now. Yeah. I'm ready to go through the door.
As you push the rest of your way in, the doors welcome you out into a place beyond comprehension. Mathematical structures given a strange life, columns of men and women. It's as though you're looking at, like, imagine let's say that you're playing like an RPG and they show you that map of the whole world,
Yeah.
where every area is obviously broken into biomes.
Yeah.
You're seeing something like that. The diversity of textures and places and creatures visible from the threshold of this doorway are incredible. Creatures like bats that seem to be only ravenous, claw-tipped wings. Spiders that you hope are just very far away, because if they're not very far away, they're the size of moons. Hand-carved forests of glossy, reflective anthracite. Ants, the size of cars, their heads twisted and upside down, eyes beneath, luminous.
Yeah, I've also
Steve
had...
from accounting. Every horror that can be visited upon a man is here.
Is there a path? I've also had this dream.
There are many paths.
This is a very fever dream to me.
This is almost like, I'm glad, this is almost like this map I've described. As you pass out, you can look at any one of these places and will yourself forward.
This is the problem. I would go into one with the least living things, but as an adult remembering, I am concerned that that means these places do not support life. At least where they are, there is a chance to exist.
Yes.
And not be destroyed or wander an obsidian forest forever. Is there anything that looks, have they taken notice of me? Has anything looked at me?
So far, the bats seem quite content. Spiders are working on a take-home project.
Yeah, I'm going toward, maybe as a mite would, if there's a large creature, maybe I can live on it for a time. It wouldn't take notice of me. I don't want these bats. Let's see what seems like, what has the most chitinous plates that I may just rest beneath?
Just kind of nest myself in that crease.
And just wait it out.
Absolutely, until the fever breaks.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but this path, as you move with intention toward these strange creatures, their spindled limbs, razor sharp, transparent spears of amethyst, slowly spinning worlds and wrapping them entire. The path out is itself quite thin, only a couple feet wide. I'm gonna have to have you roll your dice again.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, for what it's worth.
I'm crawling.
Yeah,
crawling.
absolutely.
A 2.
Absolutely. You fall, but it's not oriented the way that you expect. When you fall and lose your grip on this this tiny path, you fall toward the spider without any ability to guide yourself. It's as though it's exerting its own nefarious, wicked gravity. And as you are drawn toward it, you see just how many legs it has. It's impossible, beyond counting. Some find you. They pinch you between themselves. And as a gibbering spinneret is brought near to you, the atmosphere changes. You hear a voice, and it says, "This flesh is pleasing to me. I will make its spirit wide, and it shall be my throne. It has nothing you would recognize as a face or a body. It seems to suggest a luminous golden robe, but that's poetic interpretation at best. Every place that its luminous ribbons of robe descend upon this creature, this arachnid moon, it is sliced clean through. Even this light passes through the creature, functionally speaking, julienning it. You hear the voice of Dr. Voit again. And he says, that's where it began.
I was very sick, yeah. It didn't feel good.
That is where your destiny began. That is what made you so incredible.
Hoping that this is, like a pep talk.
Yeah. Now, from now on, I need you to have 2 dice inside there.
Okay.
Something about that memory has revealed something about yourself.
I reveal. Roll the reveal.
Yeah, double reveal. Yeah, absolutely. You can do whatever you want.
I'm trying to think of like how I'm going to parse the
That's
revelation.
what I want.
Let's parse the revelation. Ooh, so now I'm looking at 9.
Really?
Dirty 9.
Dirty 9?
Yeah, 5 and 4, not clean. But
What is it you're trying to discover?
I want to understand more about this kooky doctor, because it's a little self-help. You're very special.
There's a lot of. You feel like he has written a pamphlet at some point. You just get that sense.
I don't feel like we're here to do the same work. And it's important that we be of a like mind of
Absolutely.
what we're achieving.
Yeah, there is something. Imagine if a person could intellectually salivate, and that's essentially what this person is doing. Each time you return from one of these reversions, there's an ecclesiastical, almost, I would say quasi-religious, but I mean authentically religious fervor. He is gazing upon something like an idol.
So this is
You can tell as a result of this that there's a kind of tug of war happening in the room. And armed with this next memory, you're starting to get a sense that the balance of power in this room is shifting a little bit.
Oh.
The reverence, it began clinical, and now they're almost waiting for you.
Like almost like the potential. Like he's waiting for this to blossom.
Yes.
Into something.
That he has tended it so long.
So the last things he said is, this is what made you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That experience planted the seed.
How did you know about that experience, if I can ask him?
He says, we have done these reversions many times.
Okay. Why is it different this time?
Because you are different this time. It's closer. He is closer.
I want to stand up.
Roll your dice. No, I'm kidding.
Never rolled.
Yeah, and yeah, he tracks you with his eyes as you stand up.
What are these visions I'm having? What is causing these abnormal beliefs, thoughts?
Abnormal?
Phobias?
Abnormal. No. This is the only normal thing. All of this, and he sort of like pulls physically, sorry about my microphone, I'm sorry. I got into it. He tugs at his clothes and then brings a hand up to his ear and stretches it out, pushes his nose aside. He says, imagine that the grain of sand at the center of a pearl is the only real thing. That's reality. It's the only true thing. Everything else is just weight, pus. It's a disgusting accrual, and he claws at the front of his chest. It's a disgusting accrual of accidental matter. A universe of undifferentiated muck whose only purpose is to distort and obscure the real. You've found it, you've seen it, and now you're asking me why?
Was that where I was as a child? Was that fever, those visions, this was not a dream? You're saying that I moved through those spaces. Something was revealed to me then.
Yes, something was planted in you then.
How can I differentiate that from mental illness, from disease? Everything I know tells me that I just want to go return to my work. This is what I understand. Do I sense, now I'm asking the D.
Are you asking Jerry Holkins?
Now I'm asking Jerry.
Yeah.
Is there, as he's saying these things, as a person who can easily see how one can parse the universe this way.
Yeah.
Do I feel more than that, intellectual understanding? Do I feel like he's right though?
It's not intellectual, but you do understand what he means.
That's what I'm saying.
In the same way you could differentiate between two colors.
Yeah. Do I understand enough, do I believe it enough that I feel more agency if I take his side versus if I seek other help?
It has become clear in the last few minutes that you are the only one of the two of you that has any agency of any kind. He is trying to claw back some of his agency in this situation. He says, there's one more reversion. It will reveal so much. You will be put absolutely at ease. We have worked together on this, our great project, for so long. Shouldn't we see it through?
I am a sucker for the sunk cost fallacy. And if you're saying it's just one more payment until I finally own it.
Of $19.95. Operators are standing by.
I lie back down on the couch.
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Huna,
Huna,
dona,
dona,
oblite.
oblique.
It's a little strange because this reversion has you placed in the room you are now. Not this room,
Okay.
but in the therapy couch. There's a handwritten note from Dr. Voit, and he hands you the paper and says, I think it might help if you went to one of these meetings. Try to meet other people. Try to maybe make a few friends, people who've experienced the things you've experienced.
I think that's a great idea.
It's not far away. It's not far away from the building that we in the audience and us as the players find ourselves in here. It is actually in downtown Seattle. It is a basement meeting room.
Perfect.
And you can see on the schedule just outside that on Fridays is the Flapjack Social. Saturdays, something called Chess for Lunch.
It's just chess.
But it's just chess.
Yeah.
But Sunday, this day, it is the support group for the living vessels of strange gods.
I make a mental note about coming back on Friday for Flapjack.
If there's still such a thing as a Friday when we're done here,
Yeah.
it's a great choice. It's $5,
Hey,
but the flapjacks don't stop coming. You know what I'm talking about?
I ain't nothing to complain
No.
about.
And they got the big jug of syrup. Mm-hmm. It's like in the thing that you would do ketchup with, but it's like,
That's how you know it's good.
yeah,
I enter. Seeing as it's Sunday, I do.
absolutely.
At least once.
So this is down in the basement of this room, to the extent that there's those small windows that allow light down in two of the walls. They're currently open to allow some circulation down here, which it desperately needs. The mildew aroma is a physical object that could be cut through with a machete. There are far more chairs than people at the support group for the living vessels of strange gods, but there are a few. Tina, at any rate, that's what the name tag says, says, I'm Tina. I'm just here to guide the discussion, maybe help with a little bit of self-advocacy. She directs a knowing glance to a specific person who's seated next to, they have placed their essential oils on the chair just next to them. And she says, let's all just go around and introduce ourselves.
Oh, hello, I'm Kris.
Hi, Kris.
This is actually my first time coming to anything like this, so I'm sorry if I'm a little anxious about it.
Everyone here, except for Tina, who has never felt anxiety in her life, seems quite anxious.
I'm actually here because I was referred by my doctor, my psychologist, Dr. Voit.
There's a couple nods and a couple sort of like rodent levels of fear shifts in the head.
I didn't know whether or not, I mean, in terms of the language around, what is it, a larval god? I don't know if
Strange gods. Strange gods.
Strange
we
god.
don't use the term larval.
Oh,
a god can be merely young or merely, temporarily waxing in its power. We don't use the term larval here.
Okay, I apologize. This is what I'm afraid of, is that I'm going to inadvertently upset.
No. We will, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help guide the discussion, and I'm here to make sure that we're utilizing the proper therapeutic terms.
At any rate, my doctor said that it would be appropriate for me to come and experience and partake in this discussion. I'm uncertain of the nature of what I am the womb for, and I don't want to say to them that I don't believe any of it, but I'm going along because maybe this is some sort of a guided exercise.
And she says, okay. And then she moves down. The person next to you, while you were introducing yourself, they have been slowly inflating with their own breath a sort of a hammer. They've been blowing into a inflatable hammer. And as she directs the room's attention to them, it is done. They take the fold. They push it into the hole. They push that inside. They place it over their shoulder. Says, I'm Bill Botter. I represent martial prowess as a path to godhood. And I think I'm just about there. And there's an applause.
Bill.
Yeah.
It's Good to finally see you're reaching those heights. No, I don't say that.
The hammer is adjusted. It squeaks. The next person does not name themselves, but they say, I make oils from beloved pets. And Tina says, I think, I don't, okay, next person. And he says, hi, I'm Steve the Hungerer. It was not yet time. I'm sorry that I was late. The hour had not come. But I also had to walk because the bus was late. So both things are true. I had to walk because the bus was late, but it was also not the hour of my arrival. So that's why. Those are the two reasons. And Tina says, when did you first begin to feel that you were the exclusive agent of a divine power? Let's go ahead and go in reverse order. Steve the Hungerer says, when I started to hear the sounds between the letters, and Tina doesn't know what to do with this information. You think that Tina might be more comfortable at chess for lunch. But there is something about that.
Yeah.
There is something about that.
As though I would interrupt, I interject.
Absolutely, go for it.
As though you can't hear them on their own.
He says, no.
You can't say them on their own.
No, they are sheathed. They are sheathed within other words.
Where did you find them? What did they represent for you?
They've always said things to me. I feel like I'm hearing another language when people speak.
One beneath normal speech.
The oil lady says, well, I first started feeling like I was the exclusive agent of a divine power when I started making the oils. I'm also here. I'm part of this conversation too, goddammit.
I applaud that bravery.
Yeah. And
that's advocacy.
And Bill Botter says, I mean, I first started to understand that I had a divine heritage, or at any rate a divine purpose, when I saw Thor: The Dark World. A lot of people don't like Thor: The Dark World. A lot of people say that's the worst, but
it's the worst Dark World.
Yeah. A lot of it's just like, and I go online. I made a lot of different accounts on Metacritic. I mean, I guess it's like I gave it a lot of 10s. It hasn't helped. But I think you should all watch it. I think it's actually really good. I think that there's a lot of subtlety in it, actually. It's really good. Why are you laughing?
Oh, I was connecting what you said to what Steve had mentioned. Do you experience the same subtlety, the idea of sounds between words, between the letters of words, that type of?
No, I just liked it. I thought it was a good movie. It just seemed good. It's better than people say. We should actually watch it. And he reaches into his backpack and pulls out a laptop. And he's like, we can watch it right now. We can do that. That can be what we do like for the rest of the. I mean, it's not too long. It's long, but it's like not. We could watch it. And he opens it up, and it's like he's reaching over to hit play. And Tina says, "Bill Botter, let's pause that for a second. Maybe we can do it after. I have some apple juice. Maybe we can drink the apple juice, and we can watch the Dark World." That seems to mollify him.
Okay, I asked Tina if I have to stay for Thor: The Dark World.
She says.
It's purely extracurricular.
And she says, so when did you come to believe that you were the agent of a divine power?
At this point, in the timeline of these, where am I? Am I just before this session? Or sometime before this current one?
Very, very recent.
A very recent one.
The air feels like this season. The light seems like this season.
I would say at this point, I don't know that I have felt it. I don't know that I fully understand what it is that I'm burdened by, is how I phrase it. I thought maybe this would help me understand how others figured it out for themselves. That might assist me in invoking the correct way of discerning it. I don't know. I know something is...
Bill Botter hits play on Thor the Dark World. So there's a lot going on even in the credit sequence. It's, I mean, I can, obviously I'll do the whole thing, and then I know all the lines too, so I'm going to be saying the lines as well.
I make a gesture like this, and I stand, and I say, I'm sorry. This, I'll see myself out. And I begin to exit.
Absolutely. He's like, you're missing it. You're missing it. This is a good part. Thor's in it. I don't know if Thor's a big part of it.
I could clearly hear that it's still credits. Yeah. We're nowhere near the beginning of this movie.
As you stand up to your full height, you see a shadow move away from one of the windows, and you see a gleaming, brilliant symbol that has been etched on the window that goes down. Light is filtering through that symbol and seems to collect almost like a capacitor in the symbol until that light fills the room. When it strikes you, gleaming ribbons of gold emerge and begin to sweep frantically, hungrily around the room. Tina says, "Jesus Christ!" and runs to one of the windows that was opened and is able to get out. She pulls herself up out of the window and goes into the little well that is there to collect the water and escapes. Bill Botter says, this part's really good. He doesn't seem to notice. And that ribbon wraps around his torso, and when it cinches tight, they're sliced in two. Add one more dice to your pool.
Let's do this one. Okay.
Essential oils are raised in a defensive posture. The cork is flicked off with a thumb. Both are poured down the gullet. Black streaks pouring down, suffusing the front of the shirt. Additional oils are being secured even now. These oils are not medically or even metaphysically viable. When the ribbon comes for them, it's as though a cross has been placed, like a template of a cross, and as though on an industrial press, she's flung apart. Steve the Hungerer, who you now understand to be the Hrungnir, which you also understand is the moment where the last good outcome dies, and you're left with only ruin, is caught by the ribbon, snared, and shredded as well. Add 2 more dice to your pool. You hear the voice of Dr. Voit. And when you emerge from this reversion, the atmosphere is palpably different. Dr. Voit is on his knees before your chair, pawing and grasping at your legs in mad deference. He says, "I was your midwife. I served you first and best. I did that for you, my Lord, my golden Lord, my yellow king. For 200 years I have toiled for this moment. Place me among your court. O Lord, for my service, for my great service.
He's at my legs.
Yes.
I strike him. I strike him back.
Absolutely. He says, no, I gave you the words. I gave you the words. The words are the seed. You were the vessel. But I gave you the words and planted them in you. He is saying this as the right side of his jaw seems to hang loose inside of his mouth, garbling and making a paste of the words.
I stand in the room that feels too small for me.
You fill it.
I say, the words were always mine. You stumbled on them. You mimicked them with your filthy mouth.
No! Lord!
And
my
now,
king!
And now you demand to sit at my side, at my throne. How many dice do I need to roll?
You can roll all 5 dice. And just tell me the numbers you see.
A lot of numbers.
Yeah.
I see 5 numbers.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got 2, 2, 1, 6, 5.
The 6 and the 5 succeed. So tell me what you are attempting to shape, my lord.
I want one of his reversions. I want to go into him. I want to see where he found the words. Where did he encounter any of this? What is he hoping to achieve now that I am here?
His story starts 2 centuries ago in an archaeological expedition. Tablets were produced, and the act of translating them caused him to discover the sounds between the letters. And they spoke to him, and they were planted in him, but his soul was not wide. He is like the tiny pot that you start a great tree in, but cannot hold it.
I, like I'm sitting in an editing bay, I scrub through 200 years, and I see this small man.
Absolutely.
This conniving.
And he looks identical. Identical. Except for the trappings of that benighted era.
I return to this current period.
Which is to say, September 5th, 2021.
Correct.
Seattle, Washington.
In Seattle, Washington. And I do not even destroy him. It is as though he never was.
So imagine like pulling a morning glory off of a fence. You find the root of him. And then with a tug, pull up every stitch of his life and discard it.
Am I aware
of everything?
Do I still sense any atom of who I was in me?
Yes, like a watch you're wearing.
I'm a vessel, but it is still a container.
Yes.
Kris still contains what I now am.
That's right, but contains in the manner of clothing. It's just something you're wearing now.
What is my goal? Am I aware of what I want to do?
What is your goal? We have reached the part of the game where dice are no longer part of it.
I want to reveal existence's freshest layer.
Do so.
Starting with this room. This room. Not the doctor's office.
No.
This stage.
It is. Time and space are humorous in your current state. They're illusory. You materialize on the stage at the Paramount.
I have thrust 3 of my golden ribbons invisibly through space into the audience. My work will not be done until another anchor has been placed to seat me without the intervention of this erased being.
Absolutely. Do you need the words?
I think I know them now. Huma. Dona. Oblite. It is your responsibility now to never meet. But you will. You won't be able to help it. And I am very patient.
Thank you so much
Delights.
for enduring what must be the most incredibly fancy pants horseshit we have ever attempted in any way. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for rolling through PAX. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.